More than ever before, my dear friends, today in the modern world, we are called to reflect on the importance and nobility of a family life because family is the basis for an individual, for a society, for the church, and for the whole of humanity. My dear friends, today we celebrate the feast of the Holy Family, a very important feast in our liturgy. In the beginning centuries, only the Coptic Church from Egypt, they were celebrating this as a separate feast, and the Western Church began to celebrate it only by the 17th century. And Pope Benedict XV introduced this feast as an international feast in the year 1921. In the beginning, it was celebrated after the Sunday of the Feast of Epiphany, which we'll be celebrating soon. But later, from 1969 onwards, this feast was shifted to the Sunday following Christmas, and that's what we are celebrating today. And my dear friends, we have a lot of insights to reflect upon this particular important feast, the Holy Family, because this Holy Family of Joseph, Mary, and Jesus becomes an ideal family for all of us. And all these three characters really give us a model how to live a life that is worthy, that is pleasing in the eyes of God. And today, the modern world, the family is disintegrating for various reasons, as we know, because it's easy perhaps to get married, but it is more challenging to stay together. And the modern world, everything is instant, right? Instant coffee, instant tailor, instant passport, instant dosa maavu, right? So everything is instant. So they fall in love also instantly and they break also instantly, very unfortunately. And the life is going very fast, right? In a very instant manner. Monday, dating, Tuesday, engagement, Wednesday, wedding, Thursday, honeymoon, Friday, divorce, Saturday, rest, Sunday, next. So within a week, whole married life is over. Precisely because we are not able to understand the value, the dignity, the nobility of this marriage and the family life. And that is where we find Joseph, Mary, and Jesus become a great model and inspiration for all of us. For example, Joseph, an ideal husband, not because he did not speak any word in the family. In the New Testament, we don't find Joseph uttering any word. That is why perhaps he was a successful husband. And today, most of the husbands don't speak following Saint Joseph. Saint Joseph was really an ideal husband because he respected the dignity of Mary. Just before birth, he came to know that Mary was with a child and he decided to put her away quietly without bringing any shame upon the family. In Matthew chapter 1:19, we find Joseph was a just man. If he were only a just man, he should have done what justice demanded that time. What was the demand of the justice? To bring Mary into the midst of the people and stone her to death. That's what justice demanded. But he was a just man, but based on real love. Because Joseph must have known Mary and the family very well. And he must have been thinking, I know this family, very dignified and very holy, pious family. This girl would not have done anything wrong. So he did not jump into action. Right? Very often we make hasty conclusions and jump into actions. And here Joseph becomes an example for a man with emotional intelligence. You see, today we lack this emotional intelligence. The other day also I was elaborating the need for emotional intelligence. But Joseph becomes a man of emotional intelligence. He postpones his action and he decides to quietly put her away rather than bringing shame upon her. Again, Joseph is open to the guidance of the angel, and he had his own plan when angel Gabriel appeared to him and explained the situation. He was ready to follow the directions from God. And again, he was protecting the family. We know how he took his wife Mary and baby Jesus and ran to Egypt to save the family, to save Jesus. In Matthew chapter 2, verses 13 to 15, we find. Again, Joseph must have been a hard worker. As we know, he was a carpenter and he must have been a popular at that place. And so Joseph becomes an ideal husband, ideal foster father, how to bring the child up. And today, very often, men, husbands, they don't understand women's psychology. And these days, we have plenty of materials available both in the internet, also in the written books, etc., regarding the psychological difference of man and woman. And when a couple gets, trying to fix up the marriage, we speak about the compatibility of studies and family status, even the color complexion, and even the height, and everything we look. But are we taking time to see whether this man, this woman, this boy and girl have become psychologically mature? Have they read at least one psychology book on on a woman and man psychology and couple psychology? Today, just a little bit of lack of understanding creates lots of problems in the family. And today, cognitive psychology, more and more researches are being done how male brain and how the female brain works, for instance. And the area that is meant for the language linguistic area in the brains, which is much more developed in a woman but not so much in a man. It's a science fact. And because of the evolution, the woman, the mother, has to speak so much to the child in teaching the language or telling stories to put the child to speak. So in the process, nature, God has developed the linguistic area of the brain of a woman. And man has to understand that. That's why today psychologists say a woman has to speak at least 3,000 words per day. 3,000 words per day. And when the man comes home from the office, maybe already tired, and he must have finished his quota, whatever the words may be, and the woman begins to start her quota of 3,000 words. And man doesn't need 3,000 words, not even 300, perhaps 3 words enough. Give me meal, that is enough, 3 words. And the man should understand the psychology of woman, and the woman should understand the psychology of man. And when women speak more, the man gets irritated. Actually speaking is a solution. When a woman, when the wife comes to the man to share her problem, she does not expect a solution from him. She wants him just to listen to her. And listening itself is a solution. But very often man, with his all logic and reasoning, etc., tries to solve the problem, and she may say, keep quiet, just listen. That is enough for me. And when the woman speaks more, the man should not get offended or irritated, just listen. Similarly, when the man does not speak much, the woman should understand. She cannot expect him also to speak 3,000 words as she would say. So, this is a basic psychology. I'm just giving an example. And woman has always a taste for meticulous things, very minute things. And that is why things are there, because the child's safety is depending upon woman's or the mother's ability to note down the small details, whereas a man does not pay attention to these details, and that's not his problem, right? And so this understanding is very, very important once they come to know the psychological makeup of man and woman. And there are plenty of books. For example, John Gray's book, Man from Mars and Women from Venus. Some of you may know. Man's and woman's psychology is so different that man is coming from the planet Mars, woman coming from the planet Venus. Unfortunately, both are living on the planet Earth. If they are living in planet Mars, at least the man would have been happy. If they live in Venus, at least the woman would have been happy. But both have to live on the planet Earth, and that is where the problem. So let us read more, reflect more on the psychology, how to understand one another, etc. And here is where the woman's role also is equally important in the family, and it is the duty of the mother, of the wife, to make the children realize how important the father is. Very often, the mother, the wife, does not make the children realize the role of the father. A child can easily understand what the mother does for her or does for the family because it's a visible sign. Recently I saw a picture. The mother is holding the child in the arms, right? And the child is looking at the mother. The child is experiencing the warmth and the hands of the mother, right? But this mother and the child both are carried by the father on a plate. So the man is standing underneath and he is holding the mother and the child, but the child is not able to see the father who is holding both of them. But the mother certainly knows, the wife certainly knows it is he who is supporting them. So it is a mother's duty to make the child understand the importance of the father. Very often, the wife, the woman in the family, because she is worried so much about her own problems that my husband is not giving me some time, etc., and she has some resentments with the father, the husband, so she fails to teach the child how important the father, the husband also in the family. And that's a mistake of the mother, the wife. Unless the mother tells, how will the child know? And the mother, again, has the habit of telling 100 times how much she loves the child and what are the things that she is doing for the child, but the father never tells that. And that's not his problem because that is not in his blood, in his brain. But the father is again doing everything, right? So it's a duty of the mother or the wife to make the child realize how important. That's what we find in Mother's Mary's life. You see, one simple example, the today's gospel passage where we found Joseph and Mary go in search of the boy Jesus. He was 12-year-old boy lost in Jerusalem temple. When they find him, Mary tells Jesus, "Your father and I have been looking for you." You see, so spontaneously, she gives the importance and the first place to Joseph. Mary did not say, "I and your father were looking for you." In fact, had Mary wanted, she would have been really glorified herself because God chose me to be the mother and you are only a foster father. She could have thought that way. But very unconsciously, it is in the blood that she should respect the husband, and that's why she gives the importance and the dignity. Similarly, a good mother must teach all the values and faith to the children. Of course, both the parents should realize that it is their duty to teach the children. Today, we must realize that values are not taught, values are caught. Values are not taught, but values are caught. Today, children want to see values being lived out in the parents. Sometime back I went from mass, and during the mass, one small, just toddler, maybe 2 years old, small boy was going with a feeding bottle. He was trying to walk, and at one point he fell down. The bottle also fell down, and some milk came out of the bottle, and it was on the floor. Immediately, this small fellow, 2-year-old fellow, took the handkerchief and he was wiping the floor. Now, I am sure his father or mother would not have told him whenever there is something milk on the spilt on the floor, you should wipe it, you should clean it. But the boy must have seen the mother or the father, the grandmother at home doing that, and that's why he's doing here. As simple as that. Today parents are very much worried. My children are not listening to me. They are not paying attention to me. They never listen to my words. Somebody said, "Don't worry that your children are not listening to you, but you should worry that your children are watching you." That is more important because children, they learn more by watching. They want to learn more by watching, not by listening. Therefore, today parents have to take utmost importance and care to teach and to live out the values what the children want to have. And when I say this, children will say, "Yeah, yeah, everything is depending upon my parents." But children, you also have a great thing to do. That is to listen to your parents. That's what we found in the gospel today. At the last verse, Jesus went and stayed with them in Nazareth and obedient to their parents. And children, they need to obey their parents. If you are not convinced of what the Bible says or what others say, at least be convinced of, again, the cognitive science tells us today. The teenage brain is still developing. The teenage brain is still developing, and the frontal lobe gets a full development only when we are 25 or 26. And this frontal lobe is responsible for thinking and deciding. No, weigh the pros and cons, the ups and downs, the good and bad, and make a decision. Till then, a part called amygdala, that is very active in the brain, and that provokes the person to act immediately without thinking. And that is why teenage children sometimes they shout, they cry, they make noise. They do not know why they make noise, and we do not know why they make noise because they are provoked by amygdala. And there is nothing wrong with that because that is the way nature evolves the brain. So, till that full brain growth occurs, we need to listen to the parents, we need to listen to the elders and grandparents at home. And because these elders have gone through the stages that you are living, children, but whereas the children, you are just experiencing life. And again, the parents have to understand the teenage children. And oftentimes they say, my children is not listening to me, they are not understanding me. They cannot understand because they have not lived your age of 45 or 52. They are only 17, 20, 21. Whereas you have lived 15, 20, 21 and come to age of 48, 52. So you have to logically understand the children. It is not logical to expect the children to understand the parents. So my dear friends, these are the little, small tips we need to know. And again, finally, the children are watching the parents, how you treat your elderly parents at home. The parents-in-law, the grandfather, grandmother, etc. The children are watching because the same treatment they will be giving you tomorrow, right? And whatever may be at the old age, lots of fears and anxieties are there. So we need to be extremely kind. That's what in the first reading, book of Sirach, very practical. You go home and read that chapter, book of Sirach, beautifully explains how to treat the father in his old age, how to treat the mother in her old age, and all the kindness that we show, all the understanding that we show to our elderly parents at home. It's going to be a blessing for us and for our children. There are plenty of stories to say how now we become so insensitive in treating our elderly parents at home. Once in a, I don't know much time, once in a family, they used to feed the father one small little aluminium plate in a very old, worn out, it's not even clean, etc. Only in that plate they will serve food to the father, the grandfather at home. Once that plate was missing, so the father and the mother were searching for the plate to feed that old man, right, in the house. And they were asking the son, where is the plate? Did you see? Then the boy said, yes, I have taken and kept it safe. I have hidden it. Why? Because I need this plate to feed you when you become old. You see? And that was the time they realized their mistake. And these are the small gestures. Again, in a family, the small son and the mother is asking the father, husband, why your brother has not come to take your mother to live there. That was agreement. Every month, 1 month this boy, and second month the other boy will keep the mother. And exactly the phone call came, and the man is replying because the mother, old woman, is living with that brother. So the man is saying, okay, brother, I'll come next week. I'll bring my mother because this week I could not come. So just let her be there for 2 days. And the small boy was looking at him and the mother also. And then the man was trying to explain to the boy, we have only two sons for my mother. That's why 1 month she will be there, 1 month she will be here. And this month it is our turn to bring her, so I'm going to bring her. The boy was still looking at him. Then the man asked the father, what happened? Why are you looking like this? Then he said, for you, only I am the only boy, so where will I keep you for the second month? Because at least the parents have two children, two boys, so they can share. I'm only one boy, where will I keep you both for the second month? That's the thing. So today, in spite of all our struggles, all our practical difficulties, etc., if there is a place in the heart, surely there will be a place in the home. And all the elderly parents, they just expect some love, understanding, concern. It's not enough that you give some money for their food, it's to give some money for their medicines, etc. It is needed. But more than that, they expect a word of concern, word of care and love from them. And again, finally, my dear youngsters, you realize the need for spirituality when you are young. Don't think that you'll become spiritual when you become old, 50, 60, 70, 80 years old. You're not even sure that you will live that long. That is one thing. And secondly, if you think that I will become spiritual in my old age, see, unless you experience God, unless you experience spirituality in your young age, when you become old, you will not even know that there is a possibility of turning to God. You see? Because when you grow old, there will be a lot of struggles and challenges, difficulties, anxieties. Unless you know there is someone, God, to whom I can turn to, you may turn to alcohol. You may turn to some other pleasures, some drugs, etc., thinking that that will be a solution. So let us experience God at your younger age. Again, in the book of Sirach, book of Ecclesiasticus, there are plenty of examples, quotes to show. Let us learn to seek God in our youngsters, in our youthful age, so that we know our spirituality becomes real, genuine spirituality. If you become spiritual only at the old age, it need not be genuine spirituality, because that spirituality may be out of fear, out of anxiety, out of resentment, etc. That's not the real spirituality. Therefore, my dear friends, we can go on reflecting on the need and the relevance of Holy Family. And today, we are all called to be holy, following the example of the Holy Family in Nazareth. Let us make Jesus, Mary, and Joseph as the invisible members in our families. Then our family also will become Holy Family. Let us learn, let us read more and more the psychology of man and woman, so that we can easily understand and solve 99.9% of the problems, because very often only lack of understanding leads to greater problems, and these problems increase the misunderstanding. And today in the modern world, unfortunately, things diverse as a solution. Diverse is not a solution, because if you are divorcing your wife and husband just because of misunderstanding, what is the guarantee that you are going to live with the next husband, next wife also very happily? So rather, develop the understanding so that you can overcome the problem of misunderstanding and so on. I don't want to take much time. Let us think about seriously. Let us discuss. Let us dialogue. Let us understand each other, one another, and above all, let us pray together. The family that prays together stays together in spite of all the challenges in their lives. Kindly stand to profess our faith.